Okay, good evening, everybody. Really great to see so many of you here. Again, as always, a huge thanks, especially for giving up your precious time during the evening. Hopefully you all know me by now. I'm Alison Jeffrey. I'm the Head of Curriculum and Literacy and formerly the Early Years Lead, but I'm here with a number of colleagues to present the content of the Summer Term Provider Information Evenings tonight. And as such, I will take us on and just show you what we are planning to share this evening. Okay, so we've got a really packed agenda, loads of stuff to get through. We've got Sarah Love here, who hopefully you all know as well, doing some funding updates within her new role. We've got the Early Years Alliance with Louise Campbell-White. We've then got Catherine Hollinghurst from the Education and Safeguarding team to give some introductions and updates and generally introduce them in their new roles. Really privileged to have Lucy Driver here from Bristol and Beyond Stronger Practice Hub, hopefully to get you all inspired with some really fantastic opportunities coming down the line. Then we have Jo McDonough from the Early Years Send service to give their updates. Sarah's back on to talk about the early years communities, and there's loads going on in our communities at the moment. It's really fantastic. Then we've got an update from Take Art with Jenny Loader. Jo's going to do some offset inspection themes and outcomes, and also Jo's going to do some consultation updates, followed by time for questions and answers. So this is a live event, so obviously it's a real shame we can't see you or hear you, but it does enable, you know, a large amount of people to attend at the same time. But you can contribute. Please do use the Q&A, which I'm assured is working tonight. I know we've had previous occasions where I said, oh yes, put some questions on, and it hasn't come through, but they are working tonight. So please do put your comments and or questions, and we will try to answer as many as we possibly can in the hour and a half that we've got. There aren't any live polls planned for tonight, so you don't need to worry about that. But yeah, we would love to hear your contributions to the, you know, the good content we've got tonight. Okay, so first on the agenda is Sarah. If Sarah could pop her camera on, I'll pop her on screen.
Hello. Just very quickly, I've just had an email from, I noticed we've got quite a lot of people not attending, and I've just had an email from a provider to say the link isn't working, so I've just sent that across to you, Gemma. So hopefully you'll pick that up. I'm just very aware that we've got more booked on than we've actually got in.
Yeah, no problem.
So that might be a problem.
I've just sent the link and also had another email through as well.
Thanks, Gemma. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly go through this because I'm sure you've all got this information, and I'm not going to be able to give you any level of detail because we are still awaiting that level of detail from the DfE. But obviously we had a spring budget on the 15th of March, and there was a very clear direction that they are going to be expanding the childcare offer. So the expansion of childcare support, in particular for working parents, to include children up to 9 or at the age of 9 months up to school age. And as I say, we haven't had the detail as yet. And as soon as we get that detail, we will make sure that we inform you. The other element is the expansion of wraparound care and childmind numbers, and obviously there's some changes to the universal credit and childcare payments. Again, level of detail we haven't got, they're just the headlines really. Thank you, Alison. So this is the timeline, and this has been confirmed that they are intending to meet this timeline. So we are looking at a uplift of the funding rate for the entitlement, and that's an uplift in September 2023. So that's this year. This is the first time that we've had a in-year uplift for the entitlement. Again, we don't know what that looks like. I had a conversation with our DfE representative last week, and they're muting towards the end of July, and we have fed back that that's too late, and they need to get their act together and get us those funding rates, so that we can get them out to you guys so that you can start budgeting. So we are constantly on the case. We need that information. 2024, April 2024, they will be introducing the 15 hours of funded childcare for working parents of 2-year-olds. And we've had an indication that that criteria is going to be the same as the 30-hour criteria for working parents. And then September 2024, 15 hours of funded childcare for working parents from the age of 9 months. So again, we've asked for clarity on that. Is that the term after their 9 months? Is it as they turn 9 months? Again, questions fired towards the DFE, but no actual responses as yet. However, that indication again that we're based on the same criteria as the 30 hours for 3 and 4-year-olds. And then September 2025, the 2-year-old entitlement will be, and the 9-month entitlement will be increased to 30 hours of funded childcare for those parents that are eligible. So yeah, we're waiting on more info on that one. So wraparound care and childminders, so the authorities will be given more funding to set up wraparound care outside the normal school hours, which is interesting. Again, we've asked what does that look like, and the government are saying that by September 2026 most primary schools will be able to provide their own before and after school club. So again, the devil is in the detail. I'm completing a survey at the moment that we need to return to the DFE by the 14th of July. Hopefully some of you will have seen that we've put out a survey through the Early Years Entitlements portal, and we've also put a survey out to schools. And in September, when we come back after the summer holidays, we intend to put another survey out with hopefully with a little bit more detail of what the government are proposing. And then also the government have recognised that we have a falling or a decline in childminders, so they have provided incentives for the recruitment of childminders, and that will be piloted in the autumn term. We are not a pilot authority, so I will just say that now. I think that's my last slide. Is it, Alison? Oh, no, next steps. So again, no details about the funding rates or the increase in September. As soon as we hear, we will get that information out to you. And then as I've already said, we're going to be surveying providers again in September to look at demand and supply, what capacity is within the sector to meet these new childcare offer. Just on the back of that, or not on the back of that, I haven't done a slide for this, but I just wanted to let you know that the provider agreement, which is the agreement that you sign up to accept the early years entitlement, has been reviewed and has been updated. That is going to go for sign off with our councillors on the 11th of July. And then we'll be popping that out to everybody to read. It just clarifies some of the changes that have been made. This is an interim one. It will have to change again when the new agenda comes into play. But I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that's going to be coming out and being circulated, and there is a requirement for you to sign an agreement and return that to the authority. So just a little bit of a heads up.
Brilliant, thanks Sarah. Some really kind of like meaty things coming our way, so thank you for that update, and as Sarah said, lots more information to come, lots more detail to give, and probably lots of queries and concerns to alleviate as well, so that's brilliant, thank you. Oh, we've got some entitlement reminders as well, Sarah.
Oh yeah, sorry. There you go. Yeah, so I just at each provider meeting I like to go back to the entitlements team or the funding team to say, you know, are there any reminders, and obviously the 30-hour codes are only valid for the funding period after their start date. So to be eligible for the summer 2023 funding period, the code needs to have a start date before the 1st of April 2023. So it's just a little reminder. Don't forget to email the legal documentation, including child registration forms and etc. These documents must be saved as a PDF. And there's the funding team, which I'm sure which I'm sure you all know. You just need to bear in mind that it is a legal requirement for us to have that documentation before we can release funding. So if it's not received, you know, we cannot release the funding. Please check your payment breakdowns for the number of hours the child has remaining for your early entitlement. That breakdown is sent out via the portal after the actual and the adjustment has been paid, and it details quite clearly what entitlement is left for each child, what they've taken and what's left. And new claim forms have been sent out and are available from the website. It's important that these are used from now onwards, because obviously we've moved from county council and district council to one unitary council, the Somerset Council. So just be aware that those forms, etc., have now been changed to reiterate that we are now one Somerset Council.
Brilliant, thanks Sarah. Have we got Louise with us from the Early Years Alliance?
Oh,
oh, there you are, yeah, brilliant. Right, I will send you love.
hi.
It's very, very exciting.
Thank you.
Hi Louise.
Hi. Sorry, apologies, I was a little bit late. Sorry, there was some gremlins in the laptop. I wasn't able to connect to Teams, but I'm here now. So thanks for having me, everybody. I'm Louise from the Early Years Alliance. We are your provider for the Somerset Early Help Advisory Service, and I just wanted to come along this evening, show my face and give you a little bit of an update of what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing. So if you give me the next slide. So we're a team of two. So as I said, I'm Louise. I cover South Somerset in Mendip, and there's my contact information on there. And of course we have Sharon Bond, who isn't with us this evening, who covers the other half of the county, and that's her contact information there. So we've got dedicated mailboxes that we have each, dedicated phone lines that we have each, but we also have a shared inbox that we both have eyes on, that's always been looked at. And then of course we have our physical office number. So plenty of ways to get in touch with us. And we do also have a Facebook page that we would encourage you to join if you would. The Facebook page is a closed group. We don't put it out to anyone else. It's only for Somerset providers, and we promise that we will not bombard you with messaging and pop-ups and things like that. So if you could join the Facebook group, that would be great. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've still doing our initial early help training, which is a kind of broad overview of what this service is and what it could mean for you as a provider and how you can access us. And we go into things like the early help assessment process, signposting to other partners. We look at the other resources that you may already know about or that could be new to you. And we also do quite a bit of work around what the local network looks like around where you are, be that in Taunton or Yeovil or Minehead, or whatever that may be. So if you haven't joined any of those training sessions, which are currently being offered online, we have Monday the 19th and June 28th that we've just done, and then we've got one coming up on a Saturday. I don't know, I wasn't able to check the attendee list because I was running late, if we've got many childminders in with us this evening, Alison, but we're very hopeful if by offering that Saturday morning session that we might be able to get some more childminders to come to the training, because we really want to make sure that we're reaching out to every early years educator in our sector. So those are the dates that we've currently got at the moment. However, we're very, very happy to come to your setting, to come do a twilight, a Saturday morning, an inset day, whatever that might look like for you, how that best suits you and your staff. We're very, very flexible to do that. That would be Sharon and I, or just Sharon, or just I. So we're very flexible, really, is the message that I wanted to get across to you guys this evening. And if you're not looking for that kind of formal training offer, then by all means, always pick up the phone and give us a call about any kind of questions or queries around the service that we offer. We do have our English as additional language training still running. That one is a big national training. So I did a session this week and I've got a second session coming up. That's a paid for training, and details of that can be found on our website if you were interested in that. But of course, the English as additional language is still part of our offer. So locally, if that's something that you would like, either that kind of formal training package or indeed questions and queries about how to best support your children and families, please do get in touch with us as well. All right, next one. We have been working hard to make sure that we are welcoming our children that are coming from Ukraine and of course parts of Russia too. We've been getting lists from Somerset, the Somerset local authority, and we've been sharing that information and going into settings where those children are. And we've been really fortunate in that there was a small pot of money we were able to put together some resource packs. I don't know if anyone here this evening has been in receipt of them. So we put together a pack which is some dual language books, the classroom pen, which is the pen that speaks the books aloud. There's some information in there for the parents, and we've been really happy to send them sort of all over the county where we know children from Ukraine are there and speak Ukrainian language. So they're working really well. We've also been able to let the welcome hubs know about these packs as well, so we can share information like that. But if you have a child on roll and this is news to you, then please get in touch with us, because we have kept some of those resources back so that we can make sure there's kind of equal access for everyone on that. We did offer last week, 2 weeks ago, I feel like time's just kind of snowballing, we had an evening session with Mantralingua, who are the publisher of the dual language books and resources, and it was a sort of getting the best out of your talking pen and how to use that and download books. And so we did that as a kind of a one-off evening, but I think Sharon and I are looking to repeat that or offer that as little bite-sized sessions. So if you have a talking pen or a classroom pen in your setting and it might be gathering dust on the shelf, which sometimes that happens, please do look out for us updating any kind of like bite-sized bits of information. It could be, you know, like a little YouTube, or it could be that we invite you to a live event. So that's something that's coming down the line as well. Next slide, please. Okay, that's our website there and our Facebook. We try and keep our website as up to date as possible and share on there any, like I say, that local information and making those local links, finding out about, you know, Home Start's really well established over in the West Somerset area, and I've just been speaking to Yeovil, and I think Home Start is going to start widening out in the Yeovil area as well, which is really interesting and really exciting. So do keep an eye on the website, and I think it's had a little bit of a redesign in the last few months, in that there's sort of clicky buttons for the different areas of need. So we look at English as additional language, we look at children's mental health and wellbeing 0 to 5, we look at that kind of early help offer, and of course school readiness or school transitions. So those are the kind of areas that we cover, and they're kind of clearly demarked on the website, so do have a look. And I mentioned the Facebook page as well. And I think that's me. I was going to say, oh, I don't know about that slide. I'll give it a go.
Sorry, Louise. That was brilliant. Yeah, that's such fantastic offers coming out. It's, you know, with the early help service, it was the add-on, although it makes it sound like it's not important as an add-on, but it's a huge add-on to the work that you were doing as for English as an additional language children before, and it, you know, really has been received well, hasn't it? So if you haven't had the opportunity to take advantage of that yet, please do, because I believe we're quite lucky in Somerset to have that service in its current form. So thank you so much, Louise. Really nice to see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Brilliant. So I think we've got Catherine, or I know we've got Catherine and Beth. I can only put one of you on at a time, so I'm going to swap you around.
Put Catherine, I did the last one.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. So just to introduce ourselves, so I'm Catherine Hollinghurst. I cover the east of Somerset, and Beth Olive covers the west of Somerset. So we are the new education safeguarding leads. Within our roles, we are here to support safeguarding practices within education provisions from 0 to 25 across Somerset. So that's, you know, our nurseries, our childminders, early years settings, right through to FE colleges and alternative provisions. We're here to provide you with professional advice and support around safeguarding to ensure that settings are fulfilling their statutory requirements. And in part of what we do is we investigate safeguarding complaints and concerns that come in from Ofsted or the DFE. So we may contact you about those. They're nothing to worry about on the whole. Parents we find, or you know, they're not following up the complaints procedures, they go straight to Ofsted and we're just asked to investigate it, and the majority of them will have a conversation with you, we'll find out what's going on, what your practice is, and we report back that you know, we're satisfied and that there's no further action. We also deliver the termly DSL network conferences. At the moment, we've got ones on the 3rd and the 6th of July. They're for all education provisions, but we are looking for next academic year to introduce specific ones relating to early years. We'll also be developing a safeguarding audit for you to use, and where needed, if there have been concerns raised, then we might come in and complete a safeguarding evaluation to look at those practices. But we're here to help. We are around safeguarding guidance and practices and policies and compliance, rather than dealing and working with individual cases and children. But we're here to help, and our email addresses are on the screen. Should you have any concerns, then you know, please get in contact.
I didn't move your slides on, Catherine, so I'm just showing the slide around.
That's fine.
Support offer that you've
well remembered though, Catherine.
obviously explained. She was ad-libbing, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've done it before, can you tell?
I'm going to put Beth on screen just for a minute, because for those of you who haven't met Beth before, then you'll recognise her face. Yes, I don't know whether you want to introduce yourself, Beth.
Oh, I'm live. Hello, I'm Beth Olive. I work in the west of the county. So Catherine and I do the same job, but just in different areas. And we're very much in touch on a daily basis with what we're doing and where we're going. We are really busy making lots of visits, trying to get around to meet as many of you as possible. But as Catherine has said already, please do get in touch with us for any safeguarding advice in relation to your settings. Obviously, if it's in relation to specific individual families, then follow your own processes in relation to sort of different consultation lines that you can contact. But if you're really stuck, then you can absolutely contact us and we can signpost you into the right direction.
Brilliant, thank you. We have just had a question through from Cheryl, who I'll be able to answer. So Kate used to be our early years safeguarding advisor, and her role was purely to advise early years settings. But Beth and Catherine now, as Catherine explained, have a 0 to 25 remit. So actually it'll be Beth and Catherine who will be doing that job from now on. And I think there was just something coming through about Anthony Goebel. He's still there, so he's our LADO, and he also works with others in his team. I don't know whether, Beth, you could help me out with some other names I've forgotten off the top of my head.
Stacey Davis is the same as a LADO. So there's Anthony Goebel. Now, because he's quite busy, they've got Stacey Davis, and they also have an admin person to support with all of that. Julian Flack, he's called. And their email addresses are just their normal names, and then at somerset.gov.uk. All of the information in relation to the LADO can also be accessed by the SSCP website, the Somerset Safeguarding Children's Partnership, which is really helpful. They've got really lots and lots of information in relation to everything, and they've just had a big kind of, not rebrand as such, but it's a lot clearer to look at advice and guidance in relation to your settings.
Brilliant. That's great. Any other questions for Catherine or Beth? I'm just checking I haven't. No, I haven't. I thought I'd missed the slide for you.
That's okay, but feel free, please, to contact us directly should you need to.
Fabulous. That's great. Thank you both for coming tonight. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Okay, I gave you a bit of a preview. So we've got Lucy here from Bristol and Beyond Stronger Practice Hub. Lucy, if you could pop your, oh, you are on. I'm just going to make you live. Bear with me a minute. Okie dokie. Nice to see you, Lucy. Welcome to Somerset in this remit, and I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm very impressed with your backdrops. Sorry about mine, guys. Yeah, so I'm here to just to introduce you a little bit to a sort of a new national initiative, which is Early Years Stronger Practice Hub, and this is for you, every practitioner that works in Somerset with young children. So Bristol and Beyond, we are called Stronger Practice Hub, beyond being the main thing for us at the moment, because we are, you know, we've got lots of local links. Can you move on, please, if that's okay? Thank you. So Stronger Practice Hubs, I don't know how much any of you know about them, but they're part of the DFE recovery programme. So funded alongside the Experts and Mentors programme, which is something that I hope you've heard about, you know, a programme where you can access support for you in your setting with an expert or mentor working alongside you. And that's for practitioners, leaders, and also for childminders. And then so that's one strand. The other strand is a child development online programme, and the third strand is the Stronger Practice Hub. I'm the lead of St Paul's Nursery School and Children's Centre in Bristol, and we've been a national teaching school. Previous to that, I've been an advisory teacher and a national leader, so out and about a lot actually in the southwest, which has been one of my privileges over many years. But we're the lead setting for the Stronger Practice Hub, and we've got some named partners working with us. One's a childminder, Millie's Garden, another nursery school, Redcliffe Nursery School, a PVI, Archfield House, and Springboard Opportunities. So I think some of you might know that a charity supporting doing SEN support in your area. And we're challenged to work with the 8 local authorities that sit in the north half of the southwest region. So Bristol, South Gloucester, Wiltshire, North Somerset, Baines and Swindon. So the Stronger Practice Hub is funded by the DFE, and we've got strict criteria, and we're supported by the National Children's Bureau. So they're the people that keep us on our toes all the time. We have our regular check-ins, and a very strong partner in the Stronger Practice Hub is somebody called the Education Endowment Fund. And one of the big strands of the hub is to engage all the early years sector, and we are such a diverse and rich sector, aren't we? But to engage us in thinking more and using more evidence-informed practice. And we're particularly asked to share with all our sector on the Early Endowment Fund's website. There's the Early Years Evidence Store, so the link to it is there. And over time, that's going to be a store building on great examples of how we can best support children in the early years. And one of the things we've got to do is be out and about trying to find examples of best practice to get the DFE cameras in and record meaningful observations and practice as it happens. So if you start to sort of sign up and get involved with us, there's plenty of opportunities for you to be involved in that. Can you move forward, please? So we've basically got, I'm talking away without looking at my notes, we've got 4 key roles as Stronger Practice Hub. And it's sort of quite tricky to understand for the sector because there's so many of us trying to support you, and every local authority has a really strong offer and strong leadership for early years, and then other different providers that are in there. And certainly as a Stronger Practice Hub, we don't want to undermine or duplicate. It's about trying to come to your area, your local authority, and see what's out there and seeing how we can complement really. But the first key role we've got is to provide regular newsletters to the sector, sort of what's on, what free training is, have you read this blog, you know, and signposting to some of the DFE free support and some of the DFE guidance, and also signposting in a complimentary with stuff that's already happening in your local authority. So if you sign up and subscribe to us, you'll have the regular newsletter and the blogs, information about free webinars and conferences. And I'm just going to do a quick sort of heads up here that we've got a very delayed launch conference it's in Bristol. It had to be quite a sudden last minute change of venue and everything, but it's in Bristol on the Engineers House in Clifton on Saturday the 8th of July, with a spotlight on neurodiversity. So if you follow us, you'll find all the details for booking onto that conference, and there's still a few places left. So if you're interested in that, go for it. It's going to be a really good day, and we're right next to Clifton Downs, where Pride is happening in Bristol. So there's an after conference party on the doorstep. So another bit of the sharing information advice is about us providing little clips, sound bites, links through social media. So lots of opportunities to follow us, which I'll share later. And we're really hoping to start launching sort of reels of bite-sized bits of practice and getting practitioners, childminders, leaders from settings all around the region to send us little bits of great examples. You know, the sort that you can flick through on your phone at lunchtime and go, wow, that's a great way to store my wellies, or that's a great way to share information with parents. So hopefully some, you know, quite funny hands-on practical tips as well. Thank you. Next one, please. So the second area that we have to develop is about establishing networks. And, you know, I know from talking to Alison and from talking to other people in other local authorities that there's plenty of networks already out there for the sector, but we're about sort of coming, meeting, finding out and trying to either reinvigorate or add on or develop a different sort of layer of networking. So we're just starting out now, and we're developing a regional network for childminders. So we've just recently had some pre-training on for childminders this week on emotion coaching. There's more to come, and you'll find out about that in the newsletter on our website. And then we're launching a network for baby practitioners. I mean, particularly with the, you know, the expanding places for our babies, I think there's a real need across the sector to develop that sort of baby expertise. And we've worked with people who've developed some rights for babies, which are also quite inspiring. So we will be launching a baby practitioner network in July, then a leading for twos, and then starting to map out what leadership opportunities we could offer that will complement what's already out there. Working with local authorities on that, and there will be a maths one, race equality, SEND, and more of a general learning community network. But I think, you know, what I sort of really want to say to people is, you know, we really hope that the Bristol and Beyond Stronger Practice Hub is a collaborative model. It's about learning from you. You know, what you might want, when, how, where is the most appropriate time to engage with you, because, you know, we're all stretched. Very few settings have capacity. Childminders, you know, it's about packing stuff in the evenings, isn't it? So it's about us trying to flex what we offer in a way that meets your needs. Have the next slide, please. Another challenge that we have is that we're establishing ourselves as a point of contact, and you know, you've already heard from two people in your local authority that points of contact, and again, we don't want to you know, to get in the way of those systems that you've already got in place in the local authority for accessing support and free CPD. But we are a phone line, and we will be sort of directing people to the DFE free offers. And signposting people back to their local authority for what support's on place. But in the sort of our vision for being that point of contact is that we're also identifying right across the region some settings that might want to sort of offer themselves up to be support settings. So settings that would like to be paid to host visits, to host study days or open days. So it's about sharing best practice and networking. Thank you. Next one. Like I said in the beginning, there's a real focus in the Stronger Practice Hubs and through the DFE funding for us to start to be accessing and engaging in evidence-informed practice at CPD. So the Education Endowment Fund are delivering approved courses through our hub. So at the moment we've got these 5 programmes that are going to be going on in the next 18 months that we're trying to recruit to. And I think you might have already had some information from Alison out to you all about a programme called Learning Language and Loving It. So we're really hoping to get sign up for that programme, which is we've done it here years ago, actually. It's an absolutely brilliant programme to support language development. Admittedly, there's quite a big commitment and we are all stretched for time and capacity and cover, but you know, I'd really think twice about signing up for that if you've got any capacity in your team.
There's details, Lucy, about that coming out in the newsletter, which is published tomorrow. So that's very timely.
Thank you very much for that. So just the next one. Thank you. In signing up, Susie, I think we're sort of saying, can you sign up to the Stronger Practice Hub, subscribe? And in subscribing, you will get direct information to you as a form of newsletter, and you'll get links to all our other social media things. But we're also asking for settings across the region to do a bit of a needs assessment for us. So there's a questionnaire that we'd like to get people to respond to. I mean, this is way out of date. This is like the first week we set it out, but it's just, you know, we're keen to find what people really want so that we can target the networks, or we can work with leaders in that area, and we can work with the team in your local authority to make sure, yeah, and to see if we can enhance the offer that they've already got. And again, I know your local authority know a lot about your needs, and but you know, we're here to work with you. So that's just an example of how we might use your needs assessment. So the last bit really is, yeah, how to get involved. So in the next slide, there's a code you can scan, and our website address is on the beginning of this slide. But subscribe to us, please, and please complete that needs assessment, because we're just really conscious. We want to you know, involve you in hub design and the offer that we do. I really want it to be an authentic hub, not just a sort of deliver down and not receive and learn from what comes back from you. You're the experts. So there's opportunity. So again, if you go the last slide and previous, there's links to the our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram account. It's just saying phone in, email us and sign up for any free training and network offers that's there. But plenty of other opportunities to get involved in. And once you are connected in, we'll be saying, where is a great practice? Yeah, can you send us a reel? Do you know any experts that might want to write a blog to inspire the setting down the road? Yeah, and a blog about simple things that might have changed practice or bits of new learning you've had. So there is plenty of opportunity once we get going. I think our Stronger Practice Hub has taken quite a long time to start. And it's because we were doing quite a lot of this work in Bristol. So we've had to sort of get ourselves out of that role and put ourselves in much more of a regional role. So thank you again for colleagues in Somerset for engaging with us and wanting to talk about how we can sort of complement each other in our offer for you, the sector. So thank you for giving me a bit of time, and I look forward to getting all those Somerset subscriptions.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, certainly one aspect of what Lucy's been explaining, and there's so much on offer, it's brilliant. But the network groups, obviously in Somerset, we have the early years communities, which I've talked at length with Lucy about. But, you know, actually, this is an opportunity for you to get Lucy and colleagues from the Stronger Practice Hub into your communities and to do some events. So again, it's kind of drawing down all of those great opportunities that we can get through funded routes that just make everybody's time and capacity so much easier, and obviously, you know, access to CPD that normally would come at quite high costs. So yeah, do really urge you to get involved and get in contact with Lucy, and hopefully we'll see lots more of the work from the hub in Somerset in the coming months and years. So thanks, Lucy, really appreciate your time and joining us tonight. Okay, I know I'm not handing over to Rebecca Fisk. We've got Joe, lovely Joe McDonough here, so I'm going to send Joe live. Welcome, Joe, really nice to see you. You're going to do the early years end updates.
I am. So yeah, good evening everybody. I'm Joe McDonough, I'm one of the early years area Senkos, and I'm presenting our update on behalf of Rebecca Fisk, our service manager who's on holiday at the moment. So you've got me instead.
Lucky Rebecca.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure where she's gone actually. Hopefully not somewhere too exotic. I'll be very jealous. Okay, so key headlines really. This is just a little bit of an update about our priorities for the summer term. As you'll be aware, our team is split between the area SENCOs, inclusion advisors and a Portage team. We've all come together under one umbrella. So as area SENCOs, we're really supporting mainly with school entry planning at this time of the year. So thank you to everybody, all the settings that have been part of that process, that have come along to meetings, sharing the information with schools. It really, really does help to aid that transition. Inclusion advisors are still involved with the preschool entry planning meetings for the younger children and supporting their transition, those that will be starting in September, and they're also busy working on some reviews for the younger children that they support. And Portage are also supporting not just with their individual home visits, but they're also offering some support to parents as well in terms of that being ready for school. And there should be those of you that are aware of Portage or receive Portage or are on the waiting list for Portage. There are many stay and play sessions for those children, so parents should be invited to those, and there's quite a few of those running throughout the summer, which is great. And we're also working really, really closely with the statutory team in terms of finding those placements for those schools. As you'll be aware, we've got quite a few children at the moment still with the HCPs that don't have a school place finalised for various different reasons. So we're narrowing that down. We're working really closely with special schools to sort of try and open up some additional places for some of the children that really need those specialist placements. So that's taking up quite a bit of time as well, trying to unpick that. So thank you to anybody who is kind of, you know, stuck in the middle with that, trying to sort that situation out, engaging with those parents that are probably very, very anxious at this point. So that's another thing that we're working closely with the SEND team with now at the moment. Next slide. So hopefully, I didn't send this out personally, but hopefully you've all had some consultation and you've all been sent the early years graduated response tool. A lot of different people, a lot of different teams have come together, including some early years practitioners, to develop this. It's going to replace the core standards. It's already been released into school. It looks very, very similar, but obviously the focus is more on early years. So we'd really like to know, if you've had the chance to look at it, what you think of that, how easy it is for you to navigate. There will be training on it coming in the autumn term when we hope to launch it, but your views are really, really important. So I think we've extended the deadline now. It's not the 16th of June, Alison, it's now the 7th of July. So ignore that 16th of June, it's the 7th of July. So if you think you've missed the deadline, you haven't, so please do try and look at that and then feedback, because that would be really, really helpful, because it's a document you're going to be using, but it's also going to be really, really useful to inform your practice, for you to, if you have a child with needs, to know when you should be concerned, when you might need to discuss that, and to know what sort of provision you could be providing in the first instance. So it should be a really useful tool. Okay, just a bit of data feedback. We've got about 500 children known to Maisie at the moment, and over 700 children known to our team. So not every child that we support is necessarily on Maisie, but generally majority of them are, because of their high needs and the level of support that they may need. 537 children with the area SENCOs, 198 inclusion advisors, and then 61 families being supported by Portage. So we've really, really got quite high numbers with our team. We know we've got some challenges in with our team at the moment with staffing. So that's made this year particularly challenging for some areas more than others. So we apologise for that. The 198 children to inclusion advisors, so only actually 2 inclusion advisors. So their caseloads are sort of even higher than the area SENCOs really, and they support the younger children, and those younger children will be moving over to be supported by us in the autumn term, and the cycle will go around again. So our numbers for those younger children are really creeping up at the moment. Next slide. So we've had quite a lot of feedback from our structure conversations. These are sort of SEND support meetings that we offered out at the beginning of the year. We really, really focused on, we offered them to everybody, but we really followed up and made sure we had those meetings settings where we knew there were children already known to our service. This year, I think we'd like everybody to try and engage with those meetings. So even if you don't have any children with SEND, just to have that meeting with us so that you know what to do if you do get a child with SEND, and also if there's any children with those early emerging needs that we may be able to offer some advice on. So please do sign up to that. There'll be more information coming out in the summer. We are hoping to get an updated list, and I know Alison, your team and people have been making sure that's updated, so we have the appropriate emails. So some of the time I think we've been sending out the invites to these and maybe they've not been getting to you. So that's really important. So if you have a SENCO in your team, if you're the manager here today, please make sure that information is passed on to them so they can join those meetings. It really helps us to prioritise those children on our caseloads, because our caseloads are really high at the moment, and it means we can really tailor that support and make sure that early intervention is in place. Okay, so what next? I've already mentioned the graduated response toolkit for early years. So hopefully we're going to be running some training for that. Alison will be talking about whether that's something we do as part of this, or how long that slot needs to be, and it might not fit in with the timeframes of these provider information evenings and your partnership meetings. We may need to do separate training on it, but hopefully it will be quite simple for people to use. People will find it really useful, and it shouldn't be a big sort of training slot that's needed. I think the more settings use it, the more confident they will be with the content of it. Dinglish Promise training, if you haven't already signed up to that, we've been really lucky to win the bid in Somerset to have this training free to us, which saves, you know, the council a lot of money in terms of, you know, that CPD being brought in. There are lots of modules. There's newer modules being released over the time. I think we've got the bid for like 5 years, and they'll release new modules all the time. So the inclusive practice is a really good one. There's also one on behaviours at challenge and supporting children with behaviours at challenge. Each module is all online, and you can work through it at your own pace. So anyone can sign up to that. If you look at Dinglish Promise, if you say that you're a Somerset setting, they will send you the link. I've just signed up to it. I haven't had a chance to do any of the training yet, but I'm hoping to. It's really useful. So do tap into that, and that's available to all your staff in your settings. We're also looking at next year, as well as looking at individual children's needs, but looking at your confidence with supporting children with SEND in your settings and offering more setting support. We don't want to just do general setting support about various things, although we are looking at pre-recording some training about key things that you might need to be aware of. So what we'd like to do as part of the structured conversation is for you to rate areas in your setting in terms of inclusion. It's not a massive document. It's not going to take a lot of time. It's actually if any of you've done the early years SENCO training, the 2-day training, it's the audit tool that we use in the middle of that. So it doesn't take very long for you to have a think how confident you feel as a setting with meeting the needs of children with SEND. When we have that information back and as part of the structured conversation, we can then really tailor our training to meet the needs of your individual setting and look at those settings that might need more support. I really like the lady's idea that the last time was talking about other settings, supporting other settings. That's something we're going to be looking to do as well. So looking at those settings that have really strong practice and where another setting might need more support, and sort of matching you up with another setting so you can support one another a bit more as well. And then there's going to be a review of the high needs funding. There's likely to be an expectation that if you're going to request an education healthcare plan, that the child would already be in receipt of funding as part of that graduated response. So if you feel that that child needs an education healthcare plan, the likelihood is they've got quite high needs, they need quite a high level of support, and the expectation would be that as a setting you might need high needs funding to support that child. And there'll also be some guidance on dual placement and what that looks like for funding as well. Okay, any questions?
So please to take advantage of the Q&A. We've had a couple of questions so far, but not many. So if you've got any questions while Joe's here, then please do feel to use that. Thank you so much, Joe, though, for sharing all that information. So much going on with your team. It's a lot of information,
sorry.
No, it's amazing. No, that's exactly what this evening's all about, you know, to give everybody everything they need. And obviously, in every newsletter that comes out monthly, the Early Years SEND Service have a slot on that as well, usually at the end. So do look out for that and similar information or opportunities to get in contact. You know, obviously, you can find there too. So loads of opportunities to get in touch if you are worried or need some advice about children with additional needs in your settings. Nothing coming through, Joe, but obviously I'll pass those on to you if and when they do. But thank you so much again for spending the time tonight.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to pass back over to the lovely Sarah. If she can put her camera on, I'll pop her live. Oh, I sounded really brummy then, didn't I? Live?
Yeah, nice Bromley accent there, Mrs. Okay, so just a quick update. Obviously, as you're aware, we went through a restructure sort of December, January time. I held the overall responsibility of overseeing the early years communities. Obviously, I'm in a different position now, and after several discussions, it has been agreed that the early years communities will sit in Alison's team, which is brilliant because obviously she was my line manager at the time and was as well versed in what we're doing or what we plan to do with early years communities. So obviously there's not so many bodies around, but we've had a discussion, and Nikki and Joe, who sit in Alison's team, will sort of take the lead for either side of the county. So you'll still have your early years communities. However, Joe and Nikki will be your point of contact. So Joe covering the east of the county, and Nikki covering the west. So if you're so that's just a point of contact. Obviously I'm still here and I'm more than happy to be contacted, and anybody that knows me, I'm always loath to let go of things, so I will always keep dipping in and say, what's going on, how are we doing? Sorry, Alison, you can see me later. Okay, so those are your main contacts, and Nikki and Joe will be in contact over a course of time, just to touch base with you all. We do have a Leeds meeting booked for the 10th of July, which will just again update and hear about exciting events that are going to be moving forward, and also about what support that the communities will get. So although it is an early years Leeds meeting, you're very welcome to come along and listen to what's happening, and the link is there, and these slides are going out, so you all don't have to jot it all down. They will go out to you in the next few days.
I think all the communities as well will welcome anybody who wants to take any part, small
Absolutely.
or big, in the communities. So so that meeting is an opportunity for us to, if you haven't met them already, introduce yourselves and see how you can get involved.
So just early doors, just to let you know that I've had some very favourable conversations. As you're well aware, we had hoped that we would have some form of public health contribution, i.e. health visitor contribution to the early years Leeds communities. I've had some very successful meetings in the last couple of weeks with the health visiting team, and they are going to be joining the provider meetings in September to discuss how they will link into the early years communities. And obviously I'll pass all that information on to Alison and her team so that we can make good relationships and partnerships. And the health visiting team are offering to deliver some support, especially in the summer term, around the transitions that our children will be having in that summer term going on into their schools. So really good positive conversations moving forward, so exciting times. So do book onto the provider meeting in the autumn term, because there'll be big updates. But our early years communities have been working very, very hard in putting various events on. I'm not going to read all of these out, but you can see those there, and the bookings links are on there, and again these slides will be sent out. So really good that the communities are still serving your communities, putting excellent continual professional development opportunities on, and let's face it, in the current times, you know, things that are funded for you, because at the end of the day our budgets will only do the statutory requirements for training. These are excellent opportunities for your staff to access that over and above stuff that absolutely supports the delivery of the EYFS and raising outcomes for children. So lots going on. We held a Taunton event, gosh, was it last week? Seems long time ago now, but it was only last week. Well, it was absolutely greatly received, and we'll be supporting, Nikki and I will continue to support the Taunton early years community in moving forward with some more events. So yeah, do encourage your staff to go on to these training events. They really are excellent. They really do support the quality within your provision, and anybody within your team can access this.
That's brilliant, Sarah. Thank you so much for that update. And yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the communities, please do get involved. We would love to hear your views and see you at events coming up. And thanks to the leads of the communities who've worked really, really hard to put some of those events on. And indeed, Gemma, who works tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure the events happen. So thank you so much, Gemma. And of course, to you, Sarah. So
well,
yeah.
No, I don't do as much as Gemma. She's an absolute star. But I think the communities are growing. They're snowballing, and they are just absolutely the right way to get that communication across and that support across. And I would encourage all of you to encourage your staff to sign up, get the updates and get the information about what's being delivered in your community.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, really pleased to welcome Jenny Loader from Take Art. Really nice to see you again, Jenny. I'll hand over to you for your update.
Lovely. Thank you, Alison. Hello, everyone. Thank you. So I want to update you on our 2 projects that we've got running at the moment, which are working with early years children, and really importantly, with the adults, that's you, who care for them. One of our projects we've got running at the moment is a music-based project, and what I've done there, where I've written the power of music to change lives, some of you may have noticed that is actually the title of the new National Plan for Music Education that has recently been published. We very much support that particular title, and the work that we do is all around music changing the lives of children, and it's about empowering those of you who work with the children to enable that to happen, to build your confidence in terms of delivering music to early years children. So early years is actually now represented in the National Plan for Music, though, so there is a requirement to actually include early years, to conclude music within early years environments. So we want to support people in doing that. So we've just had 4 projects finished. So when I say projects, I mean 10-week residencies by 2 musicians going into a early years setting. And at the end of these projects, we have a sharing celebration event where the 2 artists come together with the practitioners from those settings that have hosted, and they talk about what it's meant for them, what they've learnt, and we do this as an event that other people can sign up to and come along and join in. It's an online event, and it's happening on Thursday the 13th of July from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I will put in the chat when I've finished some information about how to sign up for that. But it underpins, again, going back to what Lucy was saying earlier about learning from each other. So you will hear in that session, you will hear from 4 settings, both practitioners and musicians, on their observations of children's musical learnings. Has there been a change to the musical environment? How do you create a good musical environment for learning? What have you experienced? Has your practice changed? Has it progressed? And what perceptions do you have around musical learning? So it's a great opportunity for you to come along and hear from others on those topics. It's subsidised, it's £7 per person, and as I say, it is online, so it is accessible to most people. So if you can join us, do come along and share some learning with us. So hopefully you would find something that to translate and relate to your own personal setting there. Can I have the next slide, please, Alison? So lovely. So with alongside CPD events, we also have some larger training opportunities. So at the moment, we have an opportunity for somebody to come along and actually work on the project with us while gaining some learning around delivering music within early years. So we're doing a project in Somerset. It's actually in a setting between Cheddar and Wells on that Mendip line. And between September and Christmas, we'll be doing a 10-week half-day music project. And we are looking for somebody to come along and work alongside an experienced music practitioner and experience and learn about delivering music within early years. We're not looking necessarily for a musician. You could be an early years practitioner who has got a real passion for music and would like to do music more within your practice. So we've recently interviewed for a similar role down in Torquay, and we had equal amounts of musicians and early year practitioners apply. So please don't be put off by the thought that you aren't musical. I'm using the air the air symbols there, because we believe that everybody has an opportunity to engage with music and to help to deliver music. So that is coming up soon. All the information's on our website. Again, I will share in the chat afterwards the link to that. I also believe, Alison, you said that the newsletter's coming out tomorrow and the information will be in the newsletter as well. So we've put that in there as well, so you can access that through that. So this learning opportunity is two-pronged, if you like. One is doing the 10-week sessions, and the other part is to actually take part in an accredited course. It takes place over a year, distance learning, and it's a certificate for music educators early childhood course. Now, the two have come together as a package. However, you don't have to do both to go for the opportunity. If you only want to do the 10-week course, that's fine. And if you are interested in just doing the certificate, that's fine as well. If we could have the next slide, Alison. That is a couple of images taken within the last 12 months of that course actually taking place. So you attend 4 days in Birmingham and get together with other early years practitioners, as well as doing some development work outside of those 4 days. So again, that's another opportunity for you. So could I have the next slide? That's lovely. So we also run courses for you. So our next course, our next 6-week course will be in the autumn. We're yet to announce dates, but do keep an eye on the website for that. Again, it is subsidised CPD that you can access, and we have found that where settings have engaged in that, the outcomes have been absolutely brilliant. I've put a quote there from somebody who took part in the most recent course, and how it's added to their practice and their understanding of how music can support across so many learning and development areas, not just as standalone music itself. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've talked a lot about our music project, our Soundwaves project, but our Making Believing project is underway as well. We are just this term coming to the end of our delivery for this particular project, and we've had an amazing time working with you in Somerset, coming into settings and working with practitioners to deliver different types of creative activity that has supported the learning and development of the children, and also your own learning and development. So thank you for hosting us, for those of you who come to us. Unfortunately, we are coming towards the end of this project now, but we will be presenting films and action research papers on our findings, so there will be more learning to come out of it as we go forward. And next one, please. So that's our contact details and our social media. So if you want to stay in touch, please do get in touch with either Jane Parker, who runs the Soundwaves project, or myself, who runs the Making Believing project. We work together hand in hand. So either, if you've got any queries, contact either of us, and we'd love to have some communication with you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Yeah, just obviously very pertinent to my new role is the new national plan for music education, because I also have the lovely Helen Reid in my team, who's our Somerset Music Hub lead, and also Glyn, who runs Somerset Music. A majority of that delivery of music has been for our primary and secondary settings, but yes, with the new national plan putting a real laser-like focus on our early years settings, there's lots more to come, and Take Heart as one of our key partners in delivery of music in Somerset educational settings will certainly be part of that with an early years strategy moving forward. So that's really, really great news, and something to look forward to in the new academic year 2024-25. So great stuff. Thank you, Jenny. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It's great to be partnering with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Jo now. Jo's going to give you some updates from Ofsted outcomes and themes. And just so we've had, in the newsletters coming out tomorrow, we've had some new settings who've got an outstanding judgment, and just a huge shout out to those settings. You know who you are. Congratulations. But again, these are some of the common themes coming out of our Ofsted inspections of late. Hi, Jo. Nice to see you.
Hi, you need to make me live.
Oh, I thought I had. I'm so sorry. There we go.
There you go. There you go. I'm live now. I am here, everybody. Right then, thank you. I'm going to just go through some common themes from summer term Ofsted reports that link to schools, early years settings and childminders. I'm not going to read every word on these slides, so please don't worry. I'm almost the last person this evening, so I'm not going to do death by PowerPoint at all. Nikki Difford in the team takes the credit for pulling the next few slides together, so I can't do that myself. But first of all, we'll look at curriculum. So the key things that has come out in some of the Ofsted recommendations are looking at your curriculum and considering is your curriculum sequenced? Is it planned in depth? Is it challenging? And does it include reviewing the outdoor curriculum as well? And then moving on to implementation, you've got the comments here about, do you build on what children know and do? So it's matched to the age and stage of development. Linking planning of activities to what children need to learn. Your adult-led activities, some of these recommendations were: consider the length of time children are expected to sit and listen. Is your provision appropriate for the age, and does it adapt to support younger/older children? All things to consider. Your implementation, so we're talking about your pedagogy here. Do your staff know how to support next stages of development? So do they have that clear knowledge of child development? Do children benefit from quality interaction with your staff? And are the experiences they have challenging and exciting for them? Support for staff. Are staff supported with children's behaviour? So sharing and respecting, and do staff know how to do that? Do you support staff to identify fascinations to support children's learning? And for example, do you build on staff questioning technique? So have you got that in place? And a few comments on training in reports. Obviously here we've got about consistent teaching with mathematics. So are your staff knowledgeable? Do they feel confident in teaching mathematics within their early years environment? And obviously that CPD element is relevant across all areas of learning and your provisions. That's something you might identify through your supervisions. One thing you might want to do with some of these Ofsted recommendations is actually use them as sort of an evaluative tool within your provision. You could look at them and sort of, you might want to give yourselves a pat on the back and say, yes, we do that, we do it well, let's continue to do that. Some of you might think it's a weaker area, so you would look at it as a team, as an individual, or network with other professionals. Next slide, please, Alison. So continuing on the common themes, we're going to look at those areas of learning here, particularly around the educational programmes, which I'm sure and I hope you are all very, very much aware of, because they are the statutory requirement for the delivery and development of your curriculum. So in personal and social and emotional development, a couple of the recommendations were about supporting children to develop their independent skills, and that's particularly relevant not just to selecting resources but to their self-care skills as well. So for example, even down to toileting, wiping noses, etc. Are they being supported to do that? And supporting children to learn to do those manageable skills for themselves to help develop their independent skills. So in communication and language, we know that we always talk about it as being a golden thread throughout your curriculum delivery. It's about thinking key areas were extending younger children's communication skills further. Strategies, do you have those in place to support those with language delay? Are you providing EAL children opportunities to use their home language in the setting? And developing ways to recognise different sounds and enjoy songs and rhymes, which we know are those precursors to that phonic development when children go to school. In literacy, those opportunities for purposeful mark making, so they can give meanings to their marks that they make. Oh, I think we've jumped on there. Thank you. And in mathematics, are you extending the knowledge of numbers and mathematical concepts? So can they use what they know in different contexts across the settings? And that might link up with the home environment. So you might be guiding parents on that as well. And in understanding the world, it's about developing opportunities for children to explore different cultures and diversity, their understanding of diversity and what makes them unique as well, and providing opportunities for children to learn about different cultures. I've seen some lovely examples of people really linking with the cultures of families in their settings and what's happening actually in their community to, to introduce children to the awe and wonder that is around them and literally on their doorstep. So the next slide is looking at the welfare requirements, the common themes within the Ofsted recommendations there. Within the environment area, there was the comment about considering noise levels and distractions. So think about those within your environment. Do you have those quieter areas where children can go with yourself or independently to sort of engage in a book or just have some time with you to talk, or you may be delivering an activity? Do your routines across all age groups minimize delays to enable children to remain in meaningful place? Those transition moments where there are times you may have to tidy up, there are times when it's lunchtime, etc., but are they kept to the minimal time possible so their play remains valuable and in place? Routines, are you developing healthy practices through your routines? So that goes back as well to supporting children with their independent skills. And in the absence of a key person, do staff know how to support those children in their next stage of development? I've been to quite a few settings recently who have a sort of a key buddy system. So they work alongside somebody else in case that main key person is absent. Parent partnership, sharing information with parents and other settings. Obviously, that's key to do that. And particularly at this time of year, I'm sure many of you are linking with feeder schools, even some of you with feeder sessions as well, as we're coming up to a huge transition for many children, and particularly parents as well, because they need just as much support often as the children. And are you promptly linking with other settings before children start attending them? So hopefully, like I said, you've communicated with those feeder schools, or they may have with you. And even if visits aren't arranged, you've got something in place to have those conversations about the child who will be leaving you and moving on. And risk assessments, of course, ensuring all adults take appropriate action to remove or reduce potential risk to children. So it's all your staff being very much aware of what is happening in the moment and managing a risk, because that could occur and a piece of equipment could break or something could happen that needs immediate action, but also consistently risk assessing the environment on a daily basis. And also that includes any external visits you may do as well off the premises of your actual provision. So those are the 3 slides there about the common themes, and like Alison mentioned, I think, well, I'll mention it again even if she didn't, they are regularly put onto our monthly newsletter, so you can have a look at those on a regular basis and use them to sort of look at what are familiar themes at that current time. So now we're going to just briefly touch on the consultation. And I hope that you are all aware of this. The DfE announced on the 31st of May planned changes to the EYFS staff qualification requirements as part of a wider consultation on the EYFS framework. So the consultation includes the proposals as listed here about removing the requirement, for level 3 educators to hold a level 2 maths qualification. They're considering the introduction of an experience-based route for educators to gain approved status to work within staff-child ratios. Where applicable, reducing the percentage of level 2 qualified staff required per ratio. Changing the qualification requirements for ratios so that they would not apply outside of the peak working hours, and streamlining the EYFS. So put simply, that's about creating 2 simplified versions of the EYFS statutory framework, one for childminders and one for group and school-based settings. So this consultation, please don't worry, it will not reopen the changes that were made to the EYFS as part of the 2021 reforms. These are the key areas here. And we would very much encourage you to have a look at these on the first link below. Sorry, the second link below is the consultation document, and the first link is where you can actually look at the online consultation and have your opinion, put your opinion forward. Now that closes on the 26th of July. I appreciate all of you are very busy, even if you are a all year round provision. This time of year, lots of children are moving on and you're supporting with those school transitions. But if you can have a look and voice your opinions via the consultation, it's a chance for you for your voice to be heard, basically. So that's all there about the main EYFS consultation. And then secondly, on the next slide, we have this link. Changes to Ofsted's post-inspection arrangements and complaints handling. So the proposals here are to enhance on-site professional dialogue during inspections to help address any issues before the end of the inspection, and to introduce a new opportunity for providers to contact Ofsted the day after an inspection if you have any unresolved concerns. Introduce new arrangements for finalising reports and considering formal challenges to any outcomes. And replace the current internal review process with a direct escalation to the, I'll just say the ICASO, because that's easier, and add a new periodic view of closed complaints using external representatives from the sectors that Ofsted inspect. So again, this is about you having a voice and having the knowledge about what are the proposed changes to those post-inspections arrangements. Now this consultation closes a little bit later, as you can see, the 15th of September. Unfortunately, again, that will be a time when you will be very busy, sort of supporting many children with that transition in their first few weeks with you, possibly new staff, etc. So I know I can easily sit here and say it'd be great for you to do this, but perhaps put a note in your diary to have a look at that consultation, because this is an opportunity for you to be able to have those opportunities within an inspection to voice any issues, any concerns when that is occurring in your setting. So the link at the bottom of that slide will obviously take you to that consultation for you to have a look at. Thank you, Alison. And last but not least, this is just purely for your reference, but please obviously take this back to the rest of your team or colleagues who may not be here tonight. There are a couple of updated documents. That's the Early Years Inspection Handbook, So there's the links are there, and the Keeping Children Safe in Education. Lots of settings will use the Early Years Inspection Handbook as an evaluative tool when they know they are in that sort of inspection window. So just make sure you use the most current one. If you have any problems finding any of these, please get in touch with us. And then a couple of really useful documents, and Lucy earlier mentioned the Education Endowment Foundation, the EEF. They have just published a guide to effective professional development in the early years, so that's about CPD. And they also, unless if you haven't already come across the EEF, they have lots and lots of other really fantastic guidance documents, all evidence-based, to support your practice. And then the Pulse survey of childcare and early years providers. This is a report from a series of surveys since 2020 that the DFE have published, and it's all about focusing on the cost of living increases and the impact that's had on the early years workforce. And it also looks at childminders' awareness of and views about childminder agencies and working on non-domestic premises. So that's something there for you and your general professional knowledge that you might like to have a look at. And just one more thing, it's not actually on the slide, but I would just like to promote it quickly. If you're a childminder on this meeting this evening, you would have received an email from myself earlier this week regarding the DFE Childminder Mentor Programme. That was something that Lucy mentioned earlier. This is part of the COVID recovery system offer. Please take a look at it. It's free support. You will work with a experienced childminder who will be your mentor and will offer you various sessions, and that may be virtual, they may come and visit, and it will be purely down to individualized support, and that will occur and meet your working pattern as well. They won't expect you to give up a day's work, and that's not going to actually happen until the autumn term. But we do need, you either need to refer yourself and apply yourself, or get back in touch with me and I can do that for you by, I'm just looking on my other screen, by the 21st of July. But if you're not sure about it, please ping me an email and I can chat it through with you. We've got a couple of ladies, actually 4 or 5 people doing it at the moment, childminders, and I spoke to one yesterday and she's found it really valuable to have some additional almost sort of CPD for herself. So that's it. Thank you very much. Any questions, please put in the Q&A and we will get back to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jo. It's a really helpful update. Apologies about the gremlins in my slide. I think they were on a timer. They kept moving on involuntarily, so sorry. Yes, so that does conclude tonight's information. We were scheduled to finish at 6:30, so several of us obviously are still here if anybody would like to put any questions in the live Q&A. We do have another one of these sessions next week, but it is a repeat of tonight's event, so if you're booked onto both, you don't need to be unless you particularly want to hear us again. But before we say goodbye to everybody, just a huge thank you again for taking time out of your precious evenings. I know there's a lot of information to absorb in one session, but we hope that you do find these sessions useful, and certainly do get in touch if you have any feedback or want to kind of feedback anything other than what you've had tonight. I can't see any questions coming through at the moment, so I'll say goodbye to those people who are on the event. Have a good evening and see you soon. And I will stay around. I think Sarah and Jo and Gemma are here. Catherine Hollinghurst is still here if you want to ask any safeguarding things. Got Jenny from Take Heart still here, and Naomi and Jo from the Early Years Send team, as well as Louise from the Early Years Alliance. So we are still around if you'd like to ask us anything, but if not, then good evening and see you soon.
Oh, the evaluation Gemma's popped in the Q&A link.
Oh, well done.
Awesome.
Good prompt. Yeah, for those of you who are still online, if you would please just take the time. It's a really short evaluation. It literally will take you 2 minutes at most. So, but we do obviously always value your feedback. And I think Cheryl also put a comment in earlier, which I'd missed. The Child Ilminster Cruachan and Early Years Community also just said that there will be some new events coming out soon and in the autumn term certainly, and just a few apologies that they've been snowed under. There's been quite a lot going on in that area at the moment with new roles and primary schools, restructures and stuff. So she sends her apologies, and hopefully practitioners in that area will benefit from that in the autumn term.
Yeah. We need some background music, Alison.
I always say that. Then I never follow it up. I really do need to do that. Surely, Teams Live have that ability.
Well, I think you should set Gemma one more task before she goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, she's not allowed to go. She's not going yet. She thinks she is. She's not. I don't. Oh, sorry, somebody has come through with a question. We're being asked a lot about the new funding ages, etc. Do we know when this is going to be finalised? So I think that relates to, Sarah, what you were saying earlier.
So there's a proposal to reduce the staff child ratio for the 2-year-olds, only for the 2-year-olds. That's the proposal, going from 1 to 4 to 1 to 5. However, that has to go through a parliamentary decision because it's legislation. So, and we've not heard anything more. What I can say is that there has been a huge amount of backlash in regards to that proposal, saying that actually that's not gonna cut it, basically. And obviously the 1 to 5 ratio is currently legislatory in Scotland, where they do have that ratio of 1 to 5, but it does have to go to Parliament and it does have to be passed through legislation, which it has not as yet.
I was wondering whether they were asking about the the new entitlement offer that's coming in phased tranches. Yeah, I wondered. It might not be. I might have got it completely wrong, but I wondered whether that's what they were talking about. Being asked a lot about the new funding ages. So that's when we have from babies from 9 months. Yeah, to having the 15 hours.
Yeah, we've had a certain amount of clarity in the respect that they're going to use, in fact, a document that I was reviewing today is that they're going to use the same criteria that they use for 30 hours for 3 and 4-year-olds for the 2-year-old and the 9-month-old. However, there's no clarity around, does that mean it's the term after their birthday, or does it kick in straight away? There's no clarity around that, and that's what we've gone back and asked in regards to that. So, as in true government form, they've popped out this agenda without the level of detail that we need to be able to decipher what does that actually mean and what does that actually look like for the sector. And my team met this afternoon to look at the, DFE have passed us a questionnaire. They've given us some detail as to what they think our demand is going to be in Somerset, and it relates to none of our data at all. So we've gone back with many more questions than answers to their original questionnaire. So yeah, really difficult situation, not a comfortable situation, certainly for me, to ensure sufficiency of places across the county. Not a comfortable situation because it's so unclear at this moment in time. We just haven't got the level of detail. And as I suggested earlier, as soon as we get that level of detail, we will get that out to you as providers. But yeah, really, I mean, even to the uplift that's due to come in September, we still have no idea what that looks like, which is not helpful in any way, shape or form.
But it appears that all these things are going ahead. It's just obviously the detail isn't there, but the date and timeline around it has been set. So,
yeah. I mean, we're working on the premise of the criteria being the same as the 30 hours funding, and that's the indication that DFE have given us, that premise that you know, eligible families will meet the same criteria as the current 30 hours funded children. But you know, it's very woolly. I'm working up to, just to give people an idea, I'm working on the premise that, you know, the first tranche of funded 2-year-olds for working parents is likely to be those parents that are currently using provision and are fee paying. They're going to be the first eligible group of parents coming through, hence the reason why we've put that survey out asking providers, you know, how many funded, how many fee paying 2-year-olds do you currently accommodate? So that gives us an idea of what that first tranche is likely to look at. You know, there's going to be eligible, but yeah, it's a waiting game. It's not a very nice place to be in for us as a local authority or you as providers, but it is a waiting game for that finite detail.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. It seems like there aren't any other questions coming in, so obviously we're due to finish in a few seconds anyway. So again, just to those last few remaining attendees, thanks for joining us, and thanks everybody for your contributions as well tonight. So I will end the meeting. Thank you.